I told you guys that fans and opponents are ready to pounce. They are ready to dance on the grave and bury this team. And so, yeah, a slow start will definitely go a long way to seeing that play out. But I guarantee you this, Dirk, the Chiefs could lose by 50 on Sunday. And I'm still going to come into the podcast after that game and tell you that I'm not worried because it's only 2 games.
Amateur Hour Chiefs Podcast. Amateur Hour Chiefs Podcast. Amateur Hour Podcast on KC Sports Network. Amateur on KC Sports Network. Hour on KC Sports Network. Podcast on KC Sports Net. We're gonna talk Chiefs football for you, and you, and you, and you.
What is this, amateur hour?
Yeah, I ain't no Superman businessman like you. You know, I'm just an
Amateur.
I suppose.
Amateur Hour.
Is what's happening.
Amateur Hour.
Is what's happening.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Yeah, that's right, folks. The show is called Amateur Hour. I'm Brian Scott Hall, and joining me today, a true technician who never, ever, ever loses contain on the edge. Is Dirkness.
So,
Never lost contain? I didn't think.
I've lost contain plenty of times on a weekly basis.
45-44, lost some contain.
Oh, that kind of contain. Yeah.
So, Dirk, been a few days. But Friday was tough.
Wasn't the best. Yeah. It was not the best.
Not a great way to start the year. I think so we lost that game to the Lions that Chris Jones sat out, and that was like a very weird and frustrating loss. This felt different.
And Travis Kelce missed that game too.
Oh, didn't he? That was like the knee hyperextension in practice, like a day or two before the game. Yeah.
Plenty of excuses to go around on that one. Plus, just a pass right off Tony's hands. It's just like seemed very fluky with plenty of excuses. This was not necessarily that, although there's still some kind of things that made it weird. It's week 1. It's obviously an international game. There's a weird story about them taking a 2-hour bus ride to the game, which seems odd. I didn't really understand that the hotel is just 2 hours away. And then the Xavier Worthy getting hurt on the third play does kind of throw a wrench in everything, because the Chiefs spent all offseason talking about how this season was going to be different. They were going to get back to having fun, and which they did last year. And what's the thing that prevented them from having that fun last year was the wide receiver injuries. And it was just 3 plays in and we're right back in it. And then it ends up being like a very 2024 Chiefs game outside of winning the game at the end.
Yeah. And it's like the last 2 off seasons, Veach's plan to insulate Mahomes with I guess what we call like an arsenal of weapons, bring back the fun, as you said. It's played out. His plan is played out and we're only 1 game into the second season, but it is played out like one of the all-time movie scenes in one of the all-time comedies, Tommy Boy. When he goes in that guy's office and he's like, gives him the scenario about what it's like when you use the other guy's brake pads. He's got the toys on the desk, and it, he sets one on fire, and they ultimately, get kicked out of the office. But he says that when you use the other guy's brake pads, the kids are yelling in the back seat, you get in a crash, you fall off a cliff, you burn alive, you can't feel your legs, so you're paralyzed. Then, here comes the meat wagon, new guy puking his guts out in the corner, and all because you wanted to save a few extra pennies. And I give you all this because it feels this weird, like, kind of metaphorical thing about what's happening a little bit with Veach. I feel like with the $20 million that they have, and we talked a little bit about the Trey Smith contract kind of throwing a wrench in their plans here, that there are certain things that maybe didn't get addressed, and that there may kind of be a couple holes in this roster. And in week one, especially with a young team, some of that stuff is really gonna stand out, and I don't know. I guess I'm looking at it and I'm thinking these injuries happening 2 years in a row, and it just kind of fully derails this plan so early. I don't know. Like, my reaction to it is very negative. For me as a fan, it's like super upsetting. I can try to come up with a silver lining and say, well, they've dealt with it before, so they know how to navigate these injuries or something, they know how to adjust on the fly. They can find ways to win. They know how to pile up these small advantages. The staff or the roster, they have the right mentality, whatever. But, like, I don't really know how to cope. Frankly, I think looking back at how everything played out on Friday, I've been having a hard time, apart from it's week one, to figure out why it looked as bad as it did.
Well, and I mean, there's a lot there. I think the big thing was, like, the offense came out and looked like shit to start the game. So that was tough. And it's kind of like, oh, we're back to last season. But I really do think the offense really rebounded. They ended up, I didn't even realize there was only 8 drives in the game. So their points per drive ended up being good, especially after those first 3 drives. But they end up scoring, every in the second half, and the stat going around is they gained 214 of a possible 223 yards in the second half, almost kind of reminiscent of that Super Bowl against the Eagles 2 years ago when they kind of did that in the second half. The only yard they didn't gain was the one they didn't want to gain. This one didn't have that good of an ending. It ended with a fade pass to our 8th wide receiver on the depth chart, I think. So that one was a little different ending. But overall, I think the offense, I think they're in a fine spot. Obviously the start of the game was ugly, but I think they rebounded, and I think they were a little rattled with that Xavier Worthy injury coming out, and I think he was heavily involved in that game plan. Then it was just kind of it affected the game plan, like the plays they wanted to call, and it affected them mentally. I think for how we just talked about, like, this is just what we just went through last year and what we talked about all off season changing. I mean, we talked all offseason, we're doing these battles with Mahomes and where he ranks in the QB hierarchy. And it's like, well, his stats just weren't as good as Lamar and Josh and these other top guys. And Burrow, why weren't his stats as good? His stats have fallen off. And it was an easy retort. Well, his wide receivers keep getting hurt and his offensive line wasn't good. Well, here we come back, and it's like, okay, time to prove this point. Mahomes is back. The offense is back. We all want to see it. Bam. Wide receiver injury. Bam. Rashee Rice is already suspended, so he's out. So you're already down to your one guy, and digging into these preseason concerns. But we asked the question, what was your biggest worry heading into this season? And mine was kind of that receiver room. What would happen during this Rashee Rice suspension? Because I don't trust the chemistry between Mahomes and Hollywood Brown. We saw that come up a lot in the first half. And then you're depending on Xavier Worthy and his 142-pound frame to stay healthy, which didn't last long, obviously. So all those things happen, and then you look at the offensive line improvement, which maybe it did, but they were so weirdly throwing passes, like just setting and throwing in like a second half, that we didn't even really get to see if the offensive line was necessarily improved or not. They had a few breakdowns later on, which Mahomes kind of overcame himself. But like those things that we were expecting to turn this offense around, didn't really get to showcase them in week 1 like we were all hoping.
Yeah, and I mean, it's I think that's why, like, for me, I spent the rest of the weekend kind of in a fog, and I even like checked in a couple times on social media, like, is anyone else just like feeling irritable generally? Like I think it felt defensively, certainly it felt kind of hopeless at times, where it's like they just can't seem to do anything here positive. Offensively, I will certainly grant the fact that it was a tale of two halves for that team, and really almost like a tale of first quarter versus the next three. And they show a lot of resilience and the ability to adjust from our game plan, not just for tonight, but let's say for the next 6 weeks, is really heavily revolving around this kid that we think is ready to take a leap after having a pretty quality rookie year. And suddenly, on the third play or whatever of the season, he's gone. And that kind of thing, it visibly affects the team, and they're sluggish and everything. I really like the way that Andy handled coming out of halftime. I think a lot of people got this impression that Andy was kind of like big dog and Jim Harbaugh, like the Chargers are out there ready to receive the kickoff and the Chiefs are still in the locker room. And I think in the moment I felt like that a little bit, like, all right, this is pretty cool from Andy. Let's see exactly what's going on here. But when they came to the edge of the tunnel and Andy was leading them and he turned around to like address the team, I said, oh, he's truly trying to reset. Like, guys, we're starting the game over. And, I really appreciate that kind of leadership and understanding of what was going on. They said after the game that the message was pretty clear that, like, we did not have any energy. And I think that that's a direct, like result of the Worthy injury. You did mention the bus thing, though. A little context. Sam McDowell said that his hotel was 15 miles and it took 3.5 hours. And so I'm thinking that some of this is traffic. My dad sent me a text today that said in Sao Paulo, they average 7 motorcycle deaths every day. And I mean, like, we've seen Bogota traffic, which was absolutely maniacal. And it's like a third the size of Sao Paulo. So it's go ahead.
What? That's all awesome. I wanted to get back to that halftime thing because I just thought him coming out, it was just an awesome moment. Like, to go from O'Marion Hampton making that mistake, or Chargers making that mistake, running to the perimeter, really, and him going out of bounds, giving the Chiefs an extra possession before half, then taking advantage, finally throwing it downfield, using Tyquan Thornton, Tyquan Thornton, as he will soon be known. But using that to take advantage, doing the fire drill to get the field goal team on and getting that off, which was just beyond well executed. It was amazing. I leapt out of my seat. Like, I haven't done that in years. I felt like that was incredible. And just for that to all happen, and then for them to come out in the second half, Andy's doing that thing in the tunnel where he's just, no, gather in, boys. Like, it's go time. And, they talked about that lack of energy, and we are used to seeing this team respond in these type of situations. I mean, the last time we saw this team in a real football game on national television getting absolutely blasted and embarrassed by the Eagles, you expected this team to respond, and they came out completely flat. I mean, that injury plays a part, but also, like, you got to be ready. And also the first 3 plays were terrible, even, besides that was before the injury. So it's just like not what we've become accustomed to as Chiefs fans. But then it was like, okay, halftime swung. We caught a little break there. We took advantage, and they came out like looking like a different team. And honestly, I was shocked they didn't win after that. After they get the field goal before half, they get the quick stop where the defense just looks like they're attacking. The coverage looks much tighter. It looks like a completely different team. They drive right down the field to nearly tie the game after that. And then, that missed extra point kind of looms large in there. That was like a huge swinging point where, if they get that, they tie the game, and maybe things change there. But I was just shocked to see that the team kind of came out like that and didn't win. It's weird to see Mahomes specifically turn it on like he did, and he really turned that shit on, and the Chiefs not win the game. Like, have that not be enough. That's rare in the times in this Patrick Mahomes era. Like, you're used to when he gets in that mode and he turns it on like that, like, all right, it's go time. The Chiefs are winning this game. And this time it wasn't enough. And it's definitely not on Mahomes. And I don't think it falls really on the offense. It just, the defense could not come up with stops. And they just kind of ran out of time. It was a low possession game. They kept the ball away, and the Chargers did just enough. It was weird to see, because we always win these types of games against the Chargers, and we always won these types of games in 2024. And it's just a good reminder that 2025 is a new season, and things won't necessarily be like the past.
I kind of have a theory about why the team may have been sluggish, but let's take a break real quick, and I'll get to that after set.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
So I got a theory for you, Dirk. The last few years, there's a lot of factors that go into this. The amount of wins that the team has, the way they continue to, they've won the AFC West 9 years in a row now. But the success that they've had in the postseason, all these different things, there's been a lot of discussion about how difficult it is for the Chiefs to stay the Chiefs when they pick at the end of a round and they play all these extra games and so on and so forth. Right. Basically the way that the Chiefs have had to play football over the last few years is like they're on, all Madden is the difficulty level that they're playing, and injuries are cranked up too, because they keep losing all these players. And the way that they had to, kind of slog through last season and everything was just literally like 1 week at a time. How can we figure it out? As difficult as possible, a path for them. And I started thinking a little bit about week one. We heard about some of these bus rides and this, that, and the other, but I have really started thinking about the choice to be in an international game for week one. And it's like week one for any team is always going to be weird. It's always going to be challenging. You're going to have new pieces. You're trying out, new packages. Many teams are probably going to have like rookies that are playing in the NFL, for the first time at full speed. You have all these different variables that can affect your play. And the Chiefs, because of, Clark's desire to be involved in the international aspect and make the Chiefs the world's team and all these different things, I think he's really making it even harder on the team than like they would sign up for. They just say like, whatever, roll it out on the concrete in the parking lot and we'll play whenever. That's something that they said a lot, like leading up to that Super Bowl. We'll play you right now. We don't care where it is, whatever. But like, I think to a man, including Andy, all the logistics of having to travel, take your entire team to another country for the very first game of the year with all the different moving parts and everything, it just seems like a stupid choice. I'm just looking back on it, and don't get me wrong, we lost, and so I'm irritated by it. If they would have won, I probably wouldn't have even gone down this path in my head. But like, I don't know, man. Like the Chiefs had scheduling nightmares last year, and for some reason, like some people are just now catching on. Bill Simmons keeps talking about how the Chiefs' schedule this year is so hard, and I'm like, did you not look at the schedule last year? Last year was insane, and you know they kind of have this like responsibility as a dynasty to be as accessible to the public as possible, put them on every you know like standalone game and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I wonder how much it's Clark and Mark Donovan, but maybe I'm just playing who you mad at in my own head here. I just like, I don't like the Brazil of it all. You know, the field ended up like not being a talking point at all, but it was certainly a worry going down there after last year. There's just so many different things that, and like, I don't know, man, it just seems like 100 million distractions and you don't need it week one. I'm wondering if they're going to be a lot more focused and like a lot more ready to play and everything playing at home against the Eagles this week. And maybe it's the jolt from the loss, or maybe it's just coming back home, but I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, they better be. I got no problem with it. I like it.
Well,
and week one's the time to do it. I'd rather do that than in the middle of the season. Because week one's already weird enough, so your schedule's already kind of not set, kind of thing. But no, I got no problem with
it. Okay, all right. Well, I think there are some things that we may have some problems with. That may not be yours, but you kind of thought of like a way to go over all of the issues, I guess, that we saw during week one and kind of sort through them. So how do you want to do this here, Dirkalicious?
Yeah, so there was a lot of talk about how this one kind of felt different. Like this loss was like it was not like other Chiefs losses where you can point some things. There's some excuses. We talked about that Lions week one loss. There's definitely things you can point at on that one. A lot of people initial take to this game was this one felt different and they were a little worried. So I think that's kind of the biggest question, you know, coming out of this week one game is how worried are you about everything about this Chiefs season, about the next two games. So I just kind of put together a list and we're just going to go down it, talk about it a little bit and kind of, we're going to say if we're hitting the panic button or if we're not. General idea. And panic might be too strong, you know, more of a, you know, I'm buying this as a legitimate concern. Might be how we kind of handle this, but panic button's just funner to say than, you know, I might legitimately be concerned button. That doesn't bring in the views, you know. Yeah. So where should we start? What panic button? Are you hitting the panic button? We haven't really got here at all. So I'm going to go with formerly nicknamed Jimmy Cherry. That nickname has been shredded, diced, sliced, anything you want. It's out of here. He is now charred Mari, charred to a crisp. Are you hitting the panic button on Shard Mari Connor?
I'll say yes. Because
this one's the easy one. This one's the free space on the bingo card.
I'll say yes, but like some of it has to do with just like what are they doing? What are they doing? What's his
not his
job?
fault? Not his fault.
Right. I mean, I told you I tried to make the joke that Jamari Connor probably hates playing in the slot as much as we do. Every single time a play call comes in and he's got to line up in the slot, he's like, great, I'm about to get cooked and everyone's watching. And so I don't really know how they're using him. Apparently every single type of way, because he missed one defensive snap against the Eagles. You asked a question about like, do we buy that he's the starter over Jaden Hicks? Well, in this game, he sure was. Jaden Hicks was your third safety. I'm not a watcher of tape in a way that I can tell you exactly what packages were on the field, and when they had three safeties instead of three corners or whatever each time they go to the nickel. Like I don't know that data. What I can tell you is that looking at the snap counts and Jamari Connor played all but one snap, that is alarming to me because I don't think he's very good. And so I don't know exactly what he is good at. I don't know the best way to utilize him. And Steve Spagnuolo is letting him play every single snap. And I don't have like positive memories of Jamari Connor, at least, you know, from Friday night's game.
Well, yeah. I think I mean, he feels good in the box. He feels like a good football player, but not necessarily like good in coverage, which is what he's been asked to do way too much. I mean, he made a lot of plays, especially as a rookie, which this defense desperately needs, but I don't think we've seen the plays come over the last year and one game to warrant the type of playing time he's getting. So, I mean, I'm hitting the huge panic button on him if he's continually playing in the slot. Huge panic, huge, big, fat, red panic button as hard as I can hit it.
Was that like his primary responsibility? That's okay.
Every time I saw him. And then it became third and Chimchari, because the Chargers went 9 of 10 on 3rd and 4th down throws in the game. And it felt like nearly every single time they were just like, where's he at? We're going to throw it at him. Every big play, which we were on this last year. I mean, we have been saying this. I think a lot of people were coming down harder on Najee Johnson. And I was kind of driving the boat the whole time. Like, no, I think Jamari in the slot is the bigger problem here. Like, he's the one that's really getting picked on 3rd downs. Najee's giving up some big plays and, getting beat a little bit, but I think you could survive that. You cannot survive a bad slot corner when it's just sitting there easily staring a quarterback in the face. I can get 3rd and 5 whenever I want, just run a route right here on him. Here's the hope, though. I'm not without hope, because the solution is on the roster. I mean, they paid Christian Fulton 2 years, $20 million. They didn't do that to sit him on the bench. I saw someone say, I have not seen this confirmed, but I saw someone say he played 0 snaps in the first half, almost like it was a disciplinary thing. So I don't know if there's any merit to that, but he only played 15 snaps in the game total. When I think the clear answer is to put Fulton on the outside along with Jalen Watson, move McDuffie to the slot. So I'm not going to panic until I see that, or until we go numerous weeks without seeing it. Like, if we're not making that change, I'm going to come on here and bitch every week about how we're not making that change. That's a guarantee. But once I see that, I think it will clean up some issues. And so that's the hope here. So I'm hitting the panic button on it for now. But I do think there is hope on this roster to fix this problem and make the secondary look better than it did in this game.
So 2 quick thoughts in response. We can go to the next topic. Number one, what kept jumping through my head as you were talking about him was like, I think he's a tweener, but in a bad way. Like, there is a good way to be a tweener and a bad way to be a tweener, and he definitely falls on the bad side. Like, you can't seem to figure out where he goes because of it. The second thought has escaped me, so let's move on.
Hell yeah, we're back, baby. We are back. Forgotten thoughts. We'll get to it tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's kind of couple that in with the pass rush. I want to know if you are hitting the panic button on the pass rush, which looked anemic for most of the night. We are paying 3 different veteran edge rushers now. None of them really showed up in this game. Chris Jones had a good PFF grade. I did notice him a couple times. Didn't make any splash plays other than losing contain on the last play, obviously. But just overall, the pass rush, are you hitting the panic button there?
I'm not. And I think the biggest reason why, the story that I'm telling myself about the defense in this game, and it might be really difficult to get me to move off of this. The Chargers don't play football like that. That's not the way the Chargers play. At every single opportunity, they threw the football. They threw it on first down. They threw it on third down. Like they did nothing, I think, that was expected at all. And so, hey, you know what? Like, hats off, shout out Greg Roman, old dog, new tricks and all that. But I think Greg Roman cooked up a game plan very specific for this defense in week 1. Hey, they got a bunch of young guys. They got new players. Look at all the different people in the secondary that are shuffling. We're going to do a bunch of communication stuff. We're going to keep throwing the ball at them. Every time they think we're going to turn around and hand off, guess what we're going to do? Throw it again. And I think it just really threw off the defense. They did not know. Like, we're sitting back there like, where's the pass rush? And I don't think that they were thinking pass on a bunch of those plays. It's not like we had them in 3rd and 14 all night in these obvious pass rushing situations and no one's getting there. They're throwing the ball on 1st and 10 and we're complaining that there's no pass rush, but we're expecting them to be handing the fucking ball off. And so, like, I think it was way more about what the Chargers did and keeping the defense off balance than us not having any kind of juice in the pass rush.
I will go ahead and hit the panic button. Just because I'm thinking of the stat where, this Chiefs team wins Super Bowls when they have a good pass rush. The defense needs the pass rush to be good to be a good defense. And we just didn't see it. Like, I know Joe Alt is out there dominating, Milk Carton Dana, Charles Omenihu, who was my choice for breakout player this year, who we didn't see a single time. I don't even know if he played. Was he out there?
He was, but
I noticed George a couple times, never really got home. He kind of maybe forced him to step up a few times or something, but nothing much from George either. Chris Jones, I think, got in there a little bit, but nothing really. I guess the thing is, I don't look at the team and think like the talent is much less than like other great Chiefs defensive lines. Like if you're looking at the Super Bowl defensive lines that could get pass rushed, no problem. I feel like the talent's the same. So I kind of question like the hunger, like is everybody just fat and happy and paid kind of thing? So that kind of worries me just a bit. Or is there help on the way? Is Gelati or ONL? ONL is that what we're going with? Whenever I look at ONL, I think of like OnlyFans. So I'm trying to come up with a nickname there for him. It's workshopping. Don't worry, it's coming. He has to make a play first to get a nickname. I think
only Norman Lott or something. No, that's not it.
But yeah, I think Gelati made a good play in the first quarter. And he may have gotten banged up or something, but we didn't really see him the rest of the game. I'm hoping those young guys can come in and kind of provide some juice, because it just looked like a defensive line that was kind of fat and happy and ready to be eaten up. And I kind of lost my point there. Joe Alt's a great offensive lineman, but they lost their great tackle. Their guard was sick and kind of rotating in and out, I think is what happened during the game. So like those other pieces should have been able to get fodder on, and it was just nothing all game long. I mean, there was zero pass rush, which led to Spags having to bring the house, which is the natural, reaction to that, which worked for a little bit, but then Herbert figured that out and he's like, well, I can just throw it, 32 and 27 wherever. And I also have safeties and man-to-man coverage here, and they can't really stick with receivers. So I feel like the blitzing worked for a little bit, but then the Chargers had a good counter to that, and they were ready, and they started attacking the blitz like that, and that's how it led to their last couple touchdown drives.
I mean, honestly, another thing that really kept the defense off balance was the fact that Justin Herbert started running the ball. This was inarguably a top 5 Justin Herbert game in his career. He was, for all intents and purposes, perfect. He executed the game plan perfectly and was just, Rich Eisen was like, they're just wide open, another wide open receiver, like every single time. And Herbert was dealing. Honestly, I'm watching the game saying to myself, if he's going to run the ball like this, like he's in a different class of quarterback, because he's been so hesitant to use it. And that dude, literally, look at the numbers, folks. He is Josh Allen. He's the height, the weight, the recorded speed, all of those things. Justin Herbert is massive, and he hasn't used it to his advantage, mostly because he's been hurt for a couple of years. And so like, there's part of me walking away from that game that can agree with you and be scared and be like, dang, man, I don't know. Like they, maybe they just don't have it in the pass rush or whatever, but I don't know, man. They bottled up the Chargers run game so well. Omarion Hampton, 15 carries for 48 yards. And this is a team that like, they expected to have the ball just rammed down their throats, and they came prepared for that. And the Chargers did not run the ball well. And I just a quick check of the numbers. This may not be right, but I believe that the 34 attempts would have been tied for Herbert's 4th most in a game last season, and his most was only 39. Okay, so like 34 attempts is a lot in this offense. And so it might be an oversimplification, but I think they just really kept him off balance. That's,
it reminds me of their last game they played. It reminds me of the next team they're going to play, which is they went out and did a good job against Saquon Barkley. They had a good run defense throughout most of last year. And yet it didn't matter, because the Eagles kind of knew that we're going to let you pay all attention to this running game and start throwing and picking on guys. and pass coverage when you're not expecting it, kind of passing on first down. So maybe that's just like a hyper specific game plan that teams are kind of using against the Chiefs right now, and something that Spags is going to have to figure out. All right, here's a quick one. There was a lot of chatter about this. Safeties without Justin Reed. Safety room without Justin Reed there. A lot of chatter about Justin Reed, how maybe we shouldn't have got rid of him. Are you panicking on the safety room without Justin Reed there?
This one, like I'm gonna say no, but I want to say yes.
Say it.
Dude, look, we don't know if any of them are good. And so like that is why I so want to press it, is like I think if you ask me, bottom line, like of the three guys that we have, who's the dude that like or how many of them like do I want on the team, next year, 2, 3, 4 years? Like who is there any future at this position? It's really only Jaden Hicks. I don't think a second contract is coming for Connor or for Cook. And so if 2 of the 3 safeties that you want to play are guys that I don't think are going to get another contract from this team, you know what? I pressed it. I'm pressing the button. I am pressing the panic button on the safety room because I think only one of the 3 is a good player. And I don't know who their 4th is. Who is it? Chris Roland Wallace? Is it an injured Najee Johnson? Dion Bush is on IR. Mike Edwards is maybe on the practice squad. Like it's not good. It's not.
Well, I don't. If the first 3 aren't good, I don't think we need to see the 4th to
I
end.
think. Yeah, I mean, maybe. No, look. At least there's room for growth. They're all young. They will be playing better football as time goes on. But there's a very low floor in that safety room, is I guess a good way to put it.
Yeah, I don't know whether I push it or not. I just don't know. They got put in like one-on-one situations with receivers, which I don't really expect them to win. So that was kind of their what killed them in this one. The PFF grades, Jaden Hicks actually had the lowest PFF grade on the entire defense. I noticed when looking at I saw the PFF grades posted for the defense. So the top players on the Chiefs by PFF grade on the defense, it goes Chris Jones was number 1. And then you go Gelati, Chenal, Tuipulotu, Tranquil, Cook, Tillery, and Fulton. Those are the best players. You might notice about that list, there's not many full-time starters going on that list. It's basically just Chris Jones up top and then Drew Tranquil and Brian Cook. Everybody else is just a part-time player, so they just had kind of less time to be bad is almost how you can kind of read it. Because then the bottom 5 players on the defense were Jamari, Dana, Bolton, George, and Jaden Hicks. So, a lot of struggle there with full-time defenders. Am I pushing it for the safeties? I'm going to say no, just because I kind of like both safeties, and I'm not even including Jamari in here. Maybe I should, because I guess I don't even understand. Is he playing deep safety? I don't understand how he's playing over Hicks. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know what his is either.
So I don't know what. Maybe I like him better at safety because we don't always hate him on the field, so maybe he has to play safety. I'm gonna not press it yet, just out of faith and hope that I've kind of liked what these guys have shown before, and they were put in bad spots in this game, so I'm not gonna press it on them. And we are gonna take a quick break before we get to the next topic here.
What's good, everyone? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss. Something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side, ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side. I cross over. I just can't get over how long sports fans in the state of Missouri have been waiting. It feels like forever. Good news is you don't have to wait much longer, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st, it's not true. You can sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5. That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over. So it's not some ragtag sports, but this is DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. So if your team starts hot, you can jump in mid-play. There's lightning fast payouts. None of that wait 3 days for your money nonsense. And you've got more ways to get in on the action. There's no better way to start. It's all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with a sportsbook trusted by millions, safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything you want Well, except maybe a guarantee that your team will cover the spread, but that part's still on you. So here's the move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code KCSN, and when we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
All right, people. I got to tell you something. If you're a Chiefs fan, that's right, you could be on the field at the 50-yard line inside of GEHA Field for the official coin toss at the Chiefs home game this season. All you got to do is visit chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at chiefs.com/GEHA, and GEHA is a proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, so Dirk, what's next on the list of possible panic buttons here?
Next on the list was offense looking the same. I am not hitting the panic button. I think we kind of covered most of this, at least most of my thoughts. Yeah. It just felt worse than it was because of the awful start and the Worthy injury and kind of how reverting back to the 2024 offense. But really, the second half stats, their points per drive numbers were good. Like I think the offense kind of rallied and figured out the offense is really not my worry moving forward. And then just looking the same, which I was upset and annoyed about during the game. In retrospect, kind of looking back, like I think the offense was fine. It was fun.
I don't like Mahomes having the most carries and most yards in that rushing part of the offense. The offense like looking the same. I felt like that was a change that they that's foolish of me. Why would I imagine that Andy Reid's going to hand the ball off more in year 30 as a head coach or something?
We had enough a ton last year.
The 5 carries apiece for Pacheco and Hunt is rough for me. I don't know. The panic button is hard to press on an offense that has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like they're gonna find a way. And once Rashee Rice is here, if they don't lose him again, like I'm sure the offense is going to be, it'll be a step up from last year because Rashee's better than anybody that played for the Chiefs last year. So
that one was more about like them not really throwing the ball downfield, quick throws, that kind of stuff. So if you want to touch more on that, or we can get to the run offense, which is the next topic.
Oh, I mean, I think that they still showed an interest, a determination really to throw the ball downfield. Tyquan Thornton, interesting to me, definitely. It's a Tyqueek.
Tyqueek, this the second fastest ball carrier in week 1.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not going to panic really as far as that, the throwing the ball downfield or anything. I mean, it sucks without Worthy, but I think they're still going to find ways to pick their spots. I mean, they even started to adjust inside of the game. All right, if you listen to like the post game show, they talked about how like a lot of Hollywood's usage kind of looked like Worthy, and then in the second half it started to look more like Hollywood. They were just kind of trying to figure things out on the fly, right? And once they started to make those adjustments, it looked a little bit more normal, I guess. And Thornton is probably going to be the guy, and I'll be interested to see what he looks like with some of these deep routes. Yeah.
Or run offense.
Yeah, no, I am panicking there. I think they have to be stubborn, and like what they probably need as a run offense is to have an early season game similar to Clyde's rookie year, where they just run the ball like 40 times in a game. Because like the way that the Chiefs play, and probably more importantly, the way that teams play the Chiefs, like the answer to two high safeties is to run at them and make them tackle you. Like that's the whole thing on offense. If you put two safeties back there, we're going to run until you bring somebody down and then we can throw. And the Chiefs don't force teams to do that. And so, like, I think that they need to go out and, like, make a point and say, yeah, hey, we got the best quarterback in the world. But if we don't show teams that we're willing to run and stick to the run, then it's just fake. It's window dressing, and teams are not going to change the way that they defend us. So, yeah, I'd say I'm panicking about the run game. It also just, I told you, as long as we had no injuries, that they had enough. And I still sort of feel that way, but you need a little bit more commitment, I suppose.
I mean, I'm hitting a panic button for a different reason, because I watched them run up the gut the first 3 times and get completely stuffed. So I don't think they stuck with it or anything, but I don't think it was working. It was one of these games where it wasn't working again. So I don't want to waste those plays. I'll give the ball to the best player in the world instead. But I don't get it. We have Creed Humphrey. We have Trey Smith, who's supposed to be dominant in the run game. And we have Kingsley, who's supposed to be good in the run game, but, a question mark in the passing game. So you also have Mahomes forcing 2 deep safeties as much as any other quarterback in the league. Yes, even with the lack of downfield passing in recent years, still facing the most 2 deep safeties. And yet they have these great offensive linemen up the middle, and yet they can't run it. I don't understand. Like, I don't get why they're not able to open up more running room, with these offensive linemen that we are supposed to trust in the run game, and we've paid them to be good in the run game. Why can't we run it?
So to me, I'm in lockstep with you, and that's where I feel like for a lot of fans, they say, well, what have they changed? Like, even whether it's last year over this year, or I mean, really since they drafted Pacheco, I mean, I guess they're changing a little bit on the offensive line here or there, but like, I don't know how much their approach to running the football has changed, in an Andy Reid, Andy Heck era or whatever. And so if we think that they have a great interior, we think that they have all of these tools to be able to run the ball, and they have all these advantages because of how good their passing game is, and they continue to suck at running the football, like, well, then what's the next step? Because I'm thinking who needs to get fired, or what change needs to be made. Is it a player? Is it a coach? Like do something about it, right? I mean, because it's frustrating to just kind of watch the same thing over and over. So yeah, I mean, that rush offense is doo-doo for certain.
Ryan, you're pissing off my dog. Just quit with the takes a little bit.
Sorry.
He's a big Andy Heck fan. My dog.
Sorry.
All right. A big one we have skipped over, but it's time to get to. Jawan Taylor. Are you hitting the panic button on Jawan Taylor? And before you answer, we've got ourselves a little deep dive. All right, deep dive. If you're new around here, this is where we dive deep on a stat. Oh, little extra deep dive there. Playing Nick Wright. Let's just play Nick Wright over his speaker. All right, Jawan Taylor. The flags have returned. He was in week 1 form. I wanted to look at just how bad Jawan Taylor's flags have been as a Kansas City Chief. We all know that he led the league in flags in 2023. We all remember that. He had 23 that year. Second place was 18. So 5. This is total flags drawn, 23 flags. Last year, he once again led the NFL in flags drawn with 19. I don't think we paid enough attention to that because we were all like, oh, he's getting a little bit better than he was in 2023.
Why did the 19 feel like nothing and the 23 felt like every play?
Right. They stopped calling like the illegal formation stuff, and he still led the NFL in penalties.
Man.
So 19 last year, 23 the year before that. We're looking at the leading penalty getter going from 2022 backwards. This is the number one penalty getter in the NFL, just the number going back. We have 15, then 17, then 14, then 20, Laramie Tunsil, then 16, then 20, Jermaine Ifedi, 19, Josh Norman, 24, Brandon Browner, 18, 13, 15, 19, Browner again, 15, 14. So, Jawan Taylor's 2023 season ranks as the second most penalty flags drawn in the last 15 years, behind only Brandon Browner. And his 2024 season has only been topped 4 times in the last 15 years, one of those by him himself. And his 2025 pace is 68 total flags drawn, which would break the record by a lot. I'm going to answer this first. I am tired of watching Jawan Taylor play football for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care if he has strengths. I can't take these penalties anymore, and I don't think Mahomes trusts him. I see this quick passing game. We have left tackle figured out. I think Josh Simmons looked pretty good. This should be a guy he trusts, and yet he's still out here winging the ball right away. I think they have the capable backup on their team now. They're paying Jalen Moore good money to be an offensive lineman. I'm ready. I'm ready to make the move. I'm going to Jalen Moore at right tackle. I was kind of shocked that we didn't see it in that game with 4 flags thrown on Jawan Taylor. Tired of him. Get him out.
I think the reason that he was given a longer leash than I think any of us wanted to see, I genuinely thought he was about to get benched. Like, I thought it was going to happen. He's been benched by Andy before. And I'm sitting there, I'm asking myself, what more do you need to see today?
That time was almost more like a test, like an NFL test. Like, we're going to see if, the backup gets flagged for.
That happened twice, though. Didn't he get benched 2 times?
I think he did.
One time was an experiment. The other time was like, dude. So look, I'll say this. They talked about how his knee responds to air travel. And like, I don't know. I'm guessing that there's something like it's week 1 and he's got a little fluid. We had that 11-hour flight. We did a little thing. We were on the bus for 3.5. And then we did this other, like it's just Jawan. It's okay. It's Jawan. I mean, look, what happened the first 3 years he was on the team? They went to the Super Bowl. So despite all those penalties and problems, they still got to the, ultimate accomplishment.
They also got there with Mike Rimmers playing right tackle.
Fair. The writing is on the wall that Jawan Taylor will not be a Kansas City Chief next year. And so to me,
can't wait.
If the plan is that Jalen Moore is at the very least the leading vote getter for starting right tackle, though I got to tell you, picking in the late 20s, early 30s, depending on how this season goes, that screams right tackle to me. Although we did just get left tackle there. Felt pretty good. I don't know. Sure, I'll panic. The thing I don't, what I don't like about Jawan Taylor? He plays the position differently than like everybody else. He sticks out in such a bad way because of his stance. He's got the one leg that's already kicked back. Like, he's cheating on every play, and we know it. And don't get me wrong, like, other guys are too, but they look a little bit smoother about it. They're not just like, hey, guess what? I'm 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to be the first guy to move every single play. Let's see if you're going to flag me for it.
And I'm going to hold. And I'm going to hold on the play.
And I'm going to hold. It feels like, this isn't it's not the perfect analogy, but like
That was the best.
I'm thinking about like when wide receivers get released or traded away from Pittsburgh, like that guy's a problem. And it's kind of like reached that boiling point. And the Chiefs have to make a lot of exceptions. They got to find advantages in any way that they can because they pick at the bottom of the draft every year and so on and so forth. And so having a weirdo like Jawan Taylor, who everything about his game screams, outlier or whatever, they're doing it. It felt like it was like their chance to get a good right tackle, but I think we're all getting tired of it. Like everybody, maybe you were tired of it before now. But I still blame Chris Collinsworth. I think that Jawan Taylor might be the most unfairly criticized. He's been bullied. He's targeted. Like truly someone call his guidance counselor. I feel for the guy, but it's time for him to go to a new school. All right. This school's not for you.
We were not the only ones fed up with it, because the next on this list is players attacking each other both on and off the field. Travis Kelce was tired of seeing it, and he got up right in Jawan Taylor's face. And I think Jawan was rattled because going to the line on the next play, like he had to like ask the guard like the play call. It looked like he was communicating with the right guard. He was like, shit, man, I just got my ass chewed. What the hell was the play call? Like, I don't know what's going on. I wasn't listening. I just had one of the most famous men on this planet in my face telling me to get my shit together. Like, I'm going to have the Swifties coming after me. Like, I am in trouble. What's the play call?
They get to the line and he's like, Trey.
Please don't run it my way. Do not run it my way.
Is it run or pass? Just tell me, run or pass.
Give me something else. I think we're both in lockstep here that this is a non-issue, non-panic button. I liked it. Tranquil also getting on Chris Jones at the end. I think those are two professionals. I don't look at that. I saw some people like Chris Jones is a leader. He shouldn't need to be yelled at. But I think Tranquil has as much leadership qualities as anybody on this defense and on this team. I look at him as like a senior figure, even though Chris Jones is probably older. Drew Tranquil is just a smart guy, knows and loves the game. Like I trust where his head is at. And I just look at this as competitors getting after each other, challenging each other to be better, and only a positive. Like this is maybe one thing that people spun out of perspective a little bit. I didn't see too much of it, but in the moment, people were kind of like, I saw some national people kind of be like, oh, the Chiefs are falling apart. Like look at them screaming at each other, which yeah, I might hop on too if I'm, a Chiefs hater kind of thing. But as a Chiefs guy watching that, I was all for it.
Yeah, I think accountability matters. I think that I'm not going to try to claim that I'm like some incredible lip reader, but when watching Tranquil yelling at Chris Jones, it was pretty obvious to me that he said, I just want chicken. No, he said, I just want to win. and I'm like, he's yelling at Chris like and I think it's, it seemed pretty obvious it was about him deciding to take the inside track, going for the quickest path to get the sack instead of losing, holding contain. I do think on a 3rd and 14 in a game where Justin Herbert has been running, I don't want to say every chance he gets, but at that point it probably already scrambled 5-6 times. To not have a spy and put Chris Jones in a situation where I want you to play contain, not go to try to make a play, our best pass rusher. Like there are some factors in there that I don't like. I don't like the responsibility being our best pass rusher has to play contain or this play is screwed. I mean, unless you're, it's like a whatever that is, the okey doke or whatever. You're trying to fake them out, like that's not the winning play in that moment, right? To not spy on Herbert and not really ask Chris Jones to not rush. Kind of, I don't know if that part bothers me a little bit. But the actual accountability parts, I fully support those guys getting in their teammates' ears. I don't care that it happens on the field. I don't care that it gets caught by cameras. I don't think that anything about it was like malicious or ugly. It just looked like I'm a leader and I'm going to hold you accountable because what you did is not what we're here to do. Right. And I think that we heard last year, I think it was very specifically after the Carolina game, people were talking about like the bad vibes in the locker room and how, this team and that, like people really just kind of have to pick apart the Chiefs because they've had to watch so much of them over the past few years. But ultimately, like I think it was a good thing. I really liked seeing them in the moment address it and just be like, dude, this means too much. You can't fuck up like that.
And really, from Chris Jones' perspective, I kind of get it too, because like he's watched his defense not be able to get there all game long. Yeah. It's 3rd and 14. Like it's time to step up and make a play. He takes that responsibility on himself. Like this is when I make a play. So I like the attitude. Like it just didn't work out well, and it kind of cost his team. So I'm not like mad at Chris Jones for it. Like I do think he fucked up. I think he realizes he fucked up, but he's also like, I'm gonna go make a play. And so if that's your attitude, then I'm always going to side with that attitude. Like that's led to a lot of success in Chris Jones's career, where I'm sure he was not doing his exact assignment, but he went out there and made a play because he's a freaking animal.
And that's where sometimes you got to take the good with the bad and say, you know what, it was a week 1 game and Chris was trying to win, and he didn't like do this. I mean, I guess losing contain is egregious depending on who you're talking to. But it's not like he had some personal foul that completely ruined the game, right? He was just literally trying to make a play.
All right. Next up on this list, and this might be the last one here. I'm going to combine 2 here. The early season schedule for the Chiefs, and just the strength of their division. Obviously their division went 3-0, this weekend. Could the 2025 AFC West be what people thought the 2022 AFC West was supposed to be? When everybody kind of loaded up to beat the Chiefs, and nothing really worked out. I think the Raiders look much improved. The Broncos might have the best defense in the NFL, and the Chargers took it to us, and they were able to beat us in a real life football game. So the division looks strong. The next 9 games for the Chiefs here: Eagles at Giants, Ravens at Jags, Lions, Raiders, football team at the Bills, at the Broncos. You play the other 4 best teams from the preseason. There was kind of a top 5 teams going into this season, which is us, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Lions going in. You play the other 4 teams all in the next game. You play at Denver. You play an improved Jags team, an improved Vegas team, and really only one easy game in there is the Raiders. And they got to do all of this without Rashee Rice for 6 games, and then coming back. And Worthy, day-to-day, gets the Eric Berry tag. Man, let's hope that's not some bad foreshadowing there, but hopefully he comes back. So are you hitting the panic button on this hard schedule, especially over the next 9 games here with the injuries and the 0-1 start and the division looking strong?
I mean, I'm not like perfectly at ease, One of the big advantages that the Chiefs have every year is Andy Reid off a bye. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but even our bye is neutralized this year because Denver is on the bye at the same time. So both teams are coming off a bye. Now, granted, it's still Andy Reid off a bye, but like you don't get what a lot of teams typically are going to play somebody that wasn't on a bye the previous week, just the way the scheduling works out. But yeah, man, I mean, it's not going to be fun. Fortunately, I would say the most of the toughest games, especially starting next week, you get Eagles at home, you get Ravens at home, you get Lions at home, and then you go to the Giants and to the Jags. So over the next 5 games, you've got it set up. You can't choose your opponents, but if you get to pick where you play, it's in the Chiefs' favor. And so I'll take that. I think, yeah, hey, these are going to be tight, and the Chiefs could very well start 0-2, but what was the record that they had? And then they rattled off like 10 straight or whatever. I mean,
2021, they had a 3-4 start, and got whooped by. Well, yeah, you can go back to 2015 and they started 1-5. Like Producer Nick says,
that's the one I was thinking of.
Okay, well, that was pre Mahomes.
Sure. Just saying, like, this is a team, and that was Andy, but like we've seen them start slow. And
the one time we've seen them really struggle was 2021 with the rise of the too high safety. Mahomes was really struggling, and they got off to a 3-4 start with that last loss being the 27-3 loss to the Titans, where it was just like, holy shit, like, are we not good? That's
the big season where they got some of those like that win against the Giants, where it was like, that was pathetic.
We'll take that was the next game. That was the next game. Okay. And then then they played the Packers without Rodgers, and they played the Cowboys without Dak, maybe, or something like that. They started playing some backup quarterbacks in there, but they went on a huge winning streak. I think they finished 11-5 that year. But the division wasn't as good that year, so I think they kind of had like a safety net, like we're still in good standing here in the division. So I think that's kind of the fear, is if one of these teams can rise up, like Bo Nix looked terrible. If he gets his shit together and they have that dominant looking defense, then Denver could be a legit threat. If the Chargers continue playing the way that they did, they could be a legit threat. So if one of them can get out, and when you're looking at, no home games in the playoffs, that's when you're looking at like okay, this is getting a little troubling. As long as you're winning the AFC West, I think they're in good standing going into January. I think we'll all be confident. Winning 3 road games in the playoffs, always a tough feat. But yeah, I think you might be looking at like, it might be a situation where they're kind of treading water until Rashee Rice gets back and Xavier Worthy's back to healthy. Maybe it's about the same time. I don't know what to expect of Xavier Worthy. Day to day sounds like extremely optimistic. And it doesn't sound honest, which I'm not mad at Andy Reid for, but I think he's keeping it purposely vague. I'm expecting him to miss at least a few weeks. So then you're looking at games where, if we say we drop this Eagles game, beat the Giants, then you're 1-2 playing the Ravens. That's a huge game. Then you could be 1-3 going at Jacksonville, who looked good this week. Who knows if they're actually good? And then the Lions. It's just like each game kind of brings its own challenge, where if you drop a few of these are going to be big, gigantic football games the Chiefs are going to have to play early in the season, and not at full strength like they'd want to be. So I would say I am hitting the panic button on this early season schedule, especially this Eagles game. I think if they're able to win this Eagles game, I think they'll just be right back on track. You can look at this one, weird international week 1 game. We were bothered by the injury. It affected us, but we just beat the world champions, got revenge taken there, and I think the ship would be righted at that point. So I think this is a huge game, like as big as a week 2 game in the NFL can get. So I'm excited for it. I want to see how we come out. I really feel like this is going to set the tone. Like if we come out like we did last week and just kind of, come out flat, like I will legitimately be worried about 2025 Chiefs. Whereas if we respond, then I'll be like, okay, that week 1 was a fluke and we just beat the Eagles. So it's just, I think this game against the Eagles is as big as it gets, especially because of what they did to us last time we played. Like if they beat us up again, like no one's going to be scared of us. Like who would be afraid of the Chiefs now? They've just got whooped by the Eagles. They got beat by the Chargers and beat by the Eagles, like in a revenge game at home. Like it'll just be teeing off on them. Like it's the haters will be out in full force and they won't be wrong.
Oh, we will 100% see the, we wouldn't get We're On to Cincinnati from Andy, I don't think. But like the way the Chiefs beat New England that year and all the conversation about is the dynasty over and everything else, if the Chiefs start 0-2 and they get handedly beaten, handled. It doesn't have to be blown out, but like not super competitive. They'll be buried come Monday. Everyone's going to say it's over. I mean, there were already people saying it was over before the season even started. And I told you guys that fans and opponents are ready to pounce. They are ready to dance on the grave and bury this team. And so, yeah, a slow start will definitely go a long way to seeing that play out. But I guarantee you this, Dirk, the Chiefs could lose by 50 on Sunday. And I'm still going to come into the podcast after that game and tell you that I'm not worried because it's only 2 games. Like that's I think just who I am. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll do who you mad at, and I'll freak out, and I'll chicken little and all that stuff if you want. I can do that, but I think that if we're just trying to keep things, keep the big picture in mind, the Chiefs played their first like road playoff games still very recently, right? I'm not worried about the Chiefs finding ways to win. I think that no matter who the opponent is, at the end of the day, over the course of a 17-game season, the Chiefs are going to win enough to be in the playoffs, and that's all you need. Get that ticket punched, and then you can be competitive. I'm not trusting. Hey, the Broncos, sure, they have a great defense. Bo Nix turned the ball over 3 times and looked pretty atrocious. Honestly, I think Sunday made me feel better about how Friday went because I thought a lot of the NFL looked pretty ugly. Real clunky, bunch of stupid, silly football across the league. It's not like, the Chiefs were just this one bad performance. I mean, the Eagles, for crying out loud, barely beat the Cowboys, and everybody thought the Cowboys had nothing. And so like, I just don't think that anybody really looked super duper great out there. Honestly, the Chargers maybe played one of the better games of any team in week 1. So like, I don't think that I'm not going to put too much on week 2. Me personally, but if you lose to the Giants in week 3, that's going to be the circle the must win game situation on the road. That pass rush coming at you, all those different things, like that's not something I think I'd walk away from. If the Chiefs were 0-3 with a loss to the Giants, then I'll panic.
Now we're talking.
Then I'll panic. But you know what? Here's a silver lining on that. And this may be where we need to leave it today. I was thinking in the car ride on the way home, never in a million years do I ever want to waste a football season. But you want to see the Chiefs get reinvigorated? How about they have a bad enough year that they get to pick in the top 15 or whatever? Okay. So if it really goes off the rails and it's super duper terrible, worse things have happened.
That's terrible. That's terrible take. That's terrible.
Just
leave it there. Yeah, let's get a top 15 pick. Yeah, the 13th pick one.
I love the draft.
Whoever the 13th pick was this year, they'll definitely turn us around. I want to see them respond. I'm so used to this Chiefs team when they get backed into a corner like that, responding. So like they could respond and still lose the game because the Eagles are a great team and the Chiefs might be shorthanded. So like
I don't know what position they're in to respond.
But
like, I don't know
want
how
to see
well equipped they are.
I want to see some fight. Like they came out in the second half and that was some fight. Like if they're looking like that, all right, then this is the team that I recognize. I did not recognize that team in the first half. So if they were to come out like that after getting embarrassed in the Super Bowl, after that week 1 lackluster showing, and then do it again at home against the defending Super Bowl champs, then I would just be worried about just the team's psyche and mindset. Like they have to respond here. But Patrick Mahomes in this situation, underdog here.
Yeah, home dog. Is this only the second time ever?
I don't know. I would think more. What was the other one? The Bills, maybe?
I thought it was a Bills game.
Yeah. I feel like 2022 when they were quote unquote rebuilding and they played the Bills at home, they might have been dogs. There might have been another one in there, maybe. But Patrick Mahomes, 11-4 straight up as an underdog, and 12-2-1 against the spread as an underdog. I think it's Eagles by 1 right now. So this which that just goes to show these are the times when Mahomes responds. So I want to see something on Sunday, or else I think I will be a little worried. I'll just say that. So little difference of opinion there coming out of this game.
There's a lot like vibes wise where, hey, if you can't get up for this game after the way they beat you, that I could see people being like, are they just checked out? but I think that there's still the other side of that coin where Andy would tell you flat out, like, I don't care about winning in week 2. I'm not going to pull out every single thing that I've got, but he's had these early season games where he does that. Like, it would be really great to see the Chiefs come out against this Fangio defense who just embarrassed them in the Super Bowl and show, hey, guess what? We spent all offseason figuring out how to fuck you guys, and this is what it looks like now. Like, that would be great, but they don't have Rice and they don't have Worthy. And so, like, what is that even going to look like? That's why I say, like, I don't know how up they can get and how much they want to show in a game where they don't have their top 2 receivers. Like, do you really want to go A+ and see if Tyquan Thornton is enough? I mean, like, I see you shaking your head. Yes. I don't know if I do. I know that they have a lot of pride on the line. And so maybe that's what it boils down to. And I want them to give their best shot in every game. But if they held something back or whatever, because this is the defense that, seemingly has given Mahomes the most fits and they don't have their full complement of weapons, I'm not going to be mad at them.
I will. I want it all. I want it all. It's not like an AFC opponent, like where you're a good, like the Bills. There's a great chance you're going to see the Bills again. The only time you'd see the Eagles again is in the Super Bowl. I don't think you want to, shelve anything like for the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying if they lose this game, like if they don't show up, I don't think like the bottom will fall out. I'm not thinking like 6-11 here, but like my confidence level. I mean, we have to continually fight off the Ravens and Bills. People want this to be the Ravens and Bills and the AFC Championship so bad, and the Chiefs got to fight for their lives to keep those 2 all-time teams. These DVOA runs where the best 5-year stretches of never reaching a Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the reason for those teams not making it. They have to maintain a very high level to continually fight those teams off. So that's kind of the expectation I'm holding them to, is to get to that level once again. Not necessarily like making the playoffs necessarily, but being confident going into that game against those 2 big time opponents.
Before we go, I want to at least say that Mahomes had a pretty unbelievable game on Friday.
Yeah.
I thought he was incredible. Really. He put his body on the line to do a bunch of different things. It really felt like he was, okay, nobody's going to make a play. I'm going to, like, it was over my dead body, in a lot of ways, which is why obviously you said it was kind of shocking to see them not finish it. Really felt like the defense let that opportunity slip away more so than the offense did, which is kind of crazy given how the game started. But it's a shame that Mahomes performance was just kind of lost in the ether of, it was a couple days before the full NFL slate. So like almost like the time had passed on that game when Sunday morning even rolled around. And no one's going to celebrate these unbelievable plays in a loss, but he had 2 Mahoments in that game. I mean, the flick thing was crazy. I mean, like the guy was unbelievable. Truly, it was an amazing game to watch. Right?
I would argue 3. I mean, he had the flick, which Bobby Stroop called the most impressive, like, athletic play that Mahomes has ever played, and I trust his opinion on that. And unbelievable that he got that off. Trucking the dude on the sideline was an all-time moment, and then his rolling out and finding Hollywood Brown deep down the field. So I would argue 3 all-time plays. After a slow start from Mahomes, where tough to say if it was him, the game plan that was rattled, or like him and Hollywood just not being on the same page and kind of missing him a few times. A slow start, but man, when he turned it on, he looked very, very good.
Yeah, it was nice. And I tell you what, no matter how good Patrick is, trying to impress my wife with Patrick Mahomes highlights is a losing game, fellas. I was like trying to.
She got her eye on.
I mean, she thinks Jalen Hurts is handsome, but that she doesn't. We should. Yeah, that's it. We should not. We don't.
She wants to push that tush, huh?
Oh, yikes.
Oh man, Saquon was on Manning Cast and they're breaking down the pushing the cheeks or going straight down the middle, and it was high comedy. It was so
that's funny. I do think that, I'm in there. Like, I sent her that picture of Mahomes when he's like completely horizontal. I'm like, can you believe, like, I showed her the flick, I showed her all these things, and she's like, and like, she didn't even see it as like this incredible athletic feat. And, I go in the other room to talk to her, and she's literally watching something called Why Women Kill. And I said, okay, all right, I'm not going to talk to you about Mahomes anymore. Like, this is not, it's not for me. This is it's a losing game. So, guys, pray for me. My wife is not interested in any Patrick Mahomes talk. And so, Friday was interesting for me. He's making these unbelievable, like, godlike plays, and I'm like, honey, look at this, and she's like, why women kill.
We should almost turn this sort of segment like our fan moment of the week from every week. But my fan moment of the week was when Mahomes trucks that guy, and I'm in a new neighborhood here with new neighbors. I got all the windows open because it's hot. And I yell, sit down, bitch, as loud as I can. And then I'm like, oh, because I realized I'm kind of like in an alley, and I think my voice is just carrying over everything, and I just yell it at the top of my lungs.
You haven't properly introduced yourself to the neighbors yet?
This is my third day around new neighbors. So, yeah, I blamed it on the guy next door.
Call Billy Pesto and tell him to come help you out and be like, hey, he's cool. He's, little scruffy. Sure. It's cool. It's fine. He's fine. All right, folks, this has been Amateur Hour. I'm Ryan Scott Hall. He's his Dirkness. Chiefs got a remarkably important game against the Eagles in week 2. That's a Sunday nighter, is it not? We're going to get a little...
No. Sunday afternoon.
It's a 3:25.
Yep.
Holy cow. All right, folks. Well, I'm Ryan Scott Hall. He's his Dirkness. This has been another episode of Amateur Hour, and we'll see you guys next week.
Reeves.